All right, for an update on the conflict in Ukraine, we now cross to our reporter Stuart Smith in Russia. Stuart, a very good evening to you. Thank you so much for joining us. Welcome to The Full View. And we're getting reports from the United Nations Refugee Agency that about 50,000 Ukrainians have already left the country. What's the latest?
Well, right now, the NATO Secretary-General, Jens Stoltenberg, is giving a press conference and he's talking about how Russia, he believes, is intending to create regime change in Kiev. So this is not simply an invasion, but an attempt to also change the government there. There's also now more evidence that that is the true picture, because Russian President Vladimir Putin, for the first time, while addressing the National Security Council publicly on television, also suggested he would like the Ukrainian military to turn on their government. He said that they should not let the drug addicts and neo-nationalists in the Kiev government use their families as human shields. So a call there from the Russian president to give up arms and turn on the government. The Russian president also has been talking about the chance for diplomacy, his spokesperson saying that there is the offer from Russia to talk in Minsk, the capital of Belarus, but it's not clear who Russia would be willing to speak with, because the foreign minister of Russia, Sergei Lavrov, has said that he does not consider the current government in Kiev legitimate, and that these current government officials would not be able to represent the true people of Ukraine.
We're getting reports that the Kremlin now says that Russia is ready for talks with Ukraine, and that talks would have to be about Ukraine declaring a neutral status and stance, which would include demilitarization. Any indication that Ukraine is up for these talks?
Yeah, indeed. These are very, very difficult things for Ukraine to swallow. In effect, this is an ultimatum. It would be an admission of defeat, and it would be surrender to Russia, because Ukraine has for a while now insisted that NATO membership must remain on the table for Ukraine, and it would have to answer these Russian demands, give up its territory of Crimea, admit that Russia now takes that and is managing this territory. It would have to allow this eastern Ukrainian separatist region to go, and it would also have to remove all Western weaponry from its territory. There's no sign that Ukraine is, at the moment at least, willing to do any of that.
And so what's the latest with regards to the resolution of the United Nations the United Nations Security Council?
Well, it's very limited how far that can go. The United Nations Security Council is a powerful body when all of its members agree, but with Russia having veto power, it's not even interested in a discussion around Ukraine, considering what it's doing as a humanitarian intervention in a country where separatists have been attacked by Ukrainians, and it's going in to defend them. This is not a war, Russia says. This is not an illegal invasion, and it believes the United Nations has no right to interfere in what is going on. Also, Russia insists that what it is doing is for the good of Ukraine, and makes a distinction between the Ukrainian people that it say are part of our nation, Russia says, but separate to the neo-Nazis and fascists who will run the government.
Well, reportedly, the Russian troops are now getting much more, resistance as they move into Kiev. What have you heard?
That's right. The latest is around that Russian troops are around 50 kilometers from Kiev. It's very difficult, of course, in an active war to work out exactly who is truly the true picture on the ground. Having said that, even though it does seem to be the case that Russia experienced more resistance than it expected, there is no doubt that the Russian military can quickly and easily bring in reinforcements for any unsuccessful battles that take place. And there are now reports that in the south of the country there have been sent more Russian troops to help and provide backup to ones who failed to take their strategic objectives earlier. But indeed, it is a quickly moving situation, and the Ukrainian Ministry of Defense will give conflicting reports than the Russian Ministry of Defense. So far, Ukraine, though, says it has killed at least 1,000 Russian soldiers on its territory. The United Kingdom Ministry of Defense puts that figure a bit lower at around 500. Russia, as yet, to admit any Russian soldiers have been killed.
All right, Stuart, great chatting to you. Thank you so much for that update. Stuart